So we will be seeing today how to build the accordion in React.js. This is basically an interview question which was asked to me in around like two companies. So let's just get into the question first. So this is the structure that they have given to me, and basically what I was asked to, when we are clicking on the first item, the corresponding answer should open up for the first question, and if we click on the first item again, it should close up. If we click on the second item, the answer for the second one should open up, and if we click on the third item, the one will close up and the third one should open up. So basically writing the code is easy and you could find it anywhere, I think, but the thinking that goes behind writing that code is really important, and that we will be focusing on in this. So let's just see. This is the component that we have to design, and now you can observe that this structure is being repeated. The structure for the first element is what the structure for the second element as well. So what we have to do is we have to write the code for only one, and we could use an array and loop through it. Okay, that is done. So how can we divide this component? So whenever there is a repetitive element that goes on into the DOM, so that time it is not always, but like a thumb rule, to divide this into a parent child. The container one should be the parent, and the structure which is being repeated should be the child one. So in this case, the this structure will be the child one, and this entire thing will be its parent component. So initially everyone is closed. Okay, and we could think of this as an array, and in this thing basically we have to decide how the data should look like. The interviewer doesn't give us the data, he basically gives us the choice how we want to structure that data. So this is an array. Okay, so the data should be an array, and this question has an answer closely tied up to it. Okay, this also we understand, and the same goes for the second one and the third one. So basically our data should be an array which consists of objects, and that object should contain one, a question, second, an answer. Okay, so we have decided the data, we have decided the parent child relationship in this, and now just we have to write the code. Now let's just think for a second. Everyone is closed in the initial stage. Okay, that is understood. When we are clicking on the first element, and as we are thinking of this as an array, so let's just think how to build this one. We could design a data structure with the three elements and assign it to false and true. If it is false, then everyone should be closed, and if it is true, that particular element should be open. But that is not very efficient solution, because it will contain big O of an extra data space, and we always have to traverse it. So this is not the good one. So what we could do is we will always check whether the user has clicked on any of the element. If the user has clicked on the first element, that is the 0th element, we will store its index into a variable. Okay, that's fine. So what should be the initial stage? The elements of the array starts from the 0. So when everyone is closed, nothing is clicked, that time we will assign it to -1. So whenever we are clicking on the first one, if it is not open, then we should open it. Okay, if the first element is clicked again, that means if the previous element is same as the current element clicked, then what we have to do? Then we just have to hide that, and we have to set the index to -1. And if the different element is clicked, then we just have to set the current open index to this one. I think this is clear. Now we will get into the writing the code, and this will be more clearer. Okay, So let's just jump into the code. And let's just see. I have built actually the component named accordion. Basically, I don't want to bore you guys with writing the boilerplate. So this is the one, and this is how our data will look like. This data is consist of an array. Means this data is basically an array which consists of three objects, and it have two fields. Basically, one is the question and the second one is the answer, because these two fields are tightly coupled. Okay, this is understood. This is the app.js file. So basically this is the entry point in our app, and I want to keep it lean, so that's why I have used one more component. We will be treating this accordion as the parent component, and I am passing this data to it. Okay, let's just see how this looks like. So basically in this one we have this data coming in, and what we are doing here is we are just mapping that data, and we are just putting this into the DOM by this parent child relationship, as I have told you earlier. So this one is the accordion item, this is the child class. So in this thing what we are passing is the question for the first element, or I mean all the elements, and the answer for it. And using key here is very important because our DOM should know at which place we are positioning that element basically. So let's just see the child one. So I have not written here anything. So this is basically how the child will look like. So let's just write the child one first. And also I am using style components over here. So basically I have created two components. One is the unordered list and second one is the list items. Okay. So I am using style components because that is what I am using in my current project professionally, and it is very easy to pass the props in this file and apply some conditional styling. So I'm going with this one. It is not super complex. It is just a normal CSS, and we have to write it like this. So let's go in the child one. So what we have to do is we have to make the list item. So this will be our question. We always have to display all the questions, so no conditions will go over here. Okay, so question will be displayed like this, but answer we have to show conditionally. And what condition will that be? When the user clicks on it. So how we will find whether on which question the user has clicked? For that thing we have to assign the on click variable to the question. Okay, and we will also be passing set toggle the index of the current item that is being displayed on the screen. So how we will get that? We will also receive one prop name idx, and we will also be passing this prop from the parent component. This is the idx. Idx equals to idx. So now we have this on click functionality in place. Not in place, but basically we know that if the user clicks on the question, the corresponding answer should open up. Now let's just think about the logic. First of all, we have to store on which index the user has clicked. So for that, what we will be doing is we will be using the state variable. Let's just call that as current index. Set current index, and initially everyone should be closed. Okay, and the element of the array starts from 0. So it is always a good practice to give it a negative value. So let's just write -1 for now, because initially everyone is closed. Okay, this is understood. Now what we have to do is we have to write that toggle function. Okay, let's just create a function, handle click. And what we are doing is we are passing the index of that element. So let's just receive index in this function. And now what we have to do is we have to set this appropriately according to the condition. Now, what should be the condition? We have to set the current index, right? Now, if we are clicking on an element and if it is already open, that means we have to close that. And it basically depends on the previous state. So this is the callback function, and it is guaranteed by the React that this P, we could name it anything. I like to give it as P, that this this will always be the previous state. Okay. So if the current state is equal to previous state, how we will know what is the current state? By this index. If index is equal to the previous state, that time what we have to do, we have to close that one and nothing should be open. So we will directly return -1. Whatever we are returning from this function will be the current index. So if we are returning -1, so this current index will be set to -1. And else whatever the user is clicking, means suppose if this is not the current index, right? If the second one is, if the first one is open and the user is clicking on the second one, the first one should close and the second one should open up. How we will do that? Then basically what we have to do is we have to make the second one to open, and anyways we could open one at a time because we are only storing a single index and that is what our requirement is. So what we will be doing is we will directly return the current index, that is the what the user has clicked. Okay, this is done. Now what we have to do is we have to just pass this function to the our child component. What set toggle is equal to handle click. Okay, and I think I have not received this over here. Now the last part of this basically question is how to display the answer. So let's just assume we are also receiving a variable. Basically we have to display the answer on some conditions. Okay, so let's just assume if is active is true, only then we have to display the answer. Let's just create a div for that. Here we have to display that answer based on this condition. Now how to means set this active, means how we will do that. Basically let's just go in the parent component and see. Now we know that suppose this is the first element that goes into the DOM, and we have the current index, that is the state on which the user has clicked. So is active is a boolean variable, right? So if the element that is displayed in the DOM is the element the user has clicked, then we have to display that. So basically that means if current index, this value stores on what the user has clicked. If the user has clicked on the element which is currently being displayed, that means we have to show this. And yes, that's it. This is the code. Let's just run and see whether we have done some mistake here and there. Yarn start. And let's just go here. Okay, Chrome is opening up. So yes, I think no compilation error. And oh, it's breaking. Set toggle is not a function. What we have done? Set toggle and I'll click this seems correct. Is there some typo? I think, oh, typo was back there. Okay, this is fine, and we will just change this to set toggle. I think this will be good now. Uh, let's just see. Okay, now let's click on the first one. Yes, it is opening. Let's click on the second one. This is open. Let's click on the third one. Let's click on the third one again. So, okay, functionality wise, this is implemented. Now, again, what we have to do is we have to add some transition effect to this. We will do this in the next lecture. And also we will add some styling to make it look like this. So, see you guys in the next lecture, and please consider subscribing if you find this helpful. Thank you.